Good morning, and welcome to our third dialogue on the Utrecht Garden of the Ars Electronica Festival 2020. We are broadcasting live from our exhibition space in Kapitaal Utrecht. So if you're in the Utrecht area, please come and visit us. It's quite empty now, so we can accustom 20 people. So everybody who wants to join, please join in. It's nice to see the works in person if you're able to. The Utrecht Garden is hosted by the HKU, Utrecht School of the Arts. I'm a teacher at HKU, Utrecht School of the Arts. I teach all kinds of technical subjects to our art students, like computer programming, working with sensors, working with video. And I help them make interactive installations. And I actually help none of the students that are here today with their works. So that's quite funny for me. We've got a lot of departments. I also work for the ECT, the Expertise Center of Creative Technology, with the Utrecht School of the Arts. And there we develop all kinds of tools and methods for teachers to teach tech to our students and to help them with their technology challenges. Today we'll be delving into some of the guts of the installations that are here. I'm really hoping to try and open up some of them and see how they work internally. So there's going to be a fair amount of nerd talk probably. So I'm going to shout out a nerd alert every now and then. And try to explain. I don't know what population is looking at our stream at the moment, so we try to explain the more technological stuff. And the first artist who is with me today is Jorien Aberkrom, and her installation is called Wait What? Would you consider yourself being a nerd?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, definitely. And is that by choice or?
Yes, like I'm glad to be a programming nerd or Arduino nerd or.
Yeah.
Electronics nerd, I guess.
Electronics, so you're not only into programming, but you're doing electronic stuff yourself as well.
Yes, I'm really interested in the combination of using programming to steer the electronics.
Yeah.
So using sensors to feel the actual environment and output again, like in the real world.
Yeah.
But using a lot of programming in between to make it work and to make it kind of extra cool.
So gathering all kinds of stuff in the world, processing them and making them move, making the data move something else in the world.
Exactly, yeah. I'm super interested in that.
Can you tell us a bit about how your work does that? This work does that?
Yes, I made two works called Wait What. One is the online version, which you can play on my website page. Yeah. And one is the physical work. And what they are, they're actually data stealing machines. And by stealing data from the people that use the machine and confronting them with this data, I want to make them think about whether you want your personal information to be on the internet, out in the world, free to be found, or that perhaps we should start striving for a more safe, a more private way of using your own personal information and not everyone being able to access it.
Yeah. What kind of data are you stealing then from the people who visit your site?
In here, I will steal kind of analog data from you. So you have to think about things like your weight, your length, the time that you spent in my installation. And that's exactly the opposite kind of the things that the computers steal from you or websites steal from you right now. But it's also to make you think like, if I can steal your weight, your boss can also install this floor in the entrance or the doctor or like... Yeah. so we should really start up the conversation about privacy.
Yeah. So is this a way? We've been throwing our data around the internet for years for now, on Facebook, on everything. Is this a way of you to say, okay, so the internet is lost by now? People are sharing their data so easily that there's no rescuing there anymore. Please be aware this can be the physical world as well.
No, it's more about like it's true. Like on the internet now, it's getting worse and worse with the artificial intelligence machines that can really find out a lot of things about you by just seeing a few images of you. Yeah. So it's more about like now we still kind of have the chance to protect ourselves online, but also in the physical world. But I mainly focus on the online world. Yeah.
On your website, on the online part, there's this little go button I can press as a user. And what data gets stolen of me when I press that button?
When you press that button, I can see all the information that every normal website can also see from you. So, for example, whether you are on your phone or on a computer, what kind of brand you use. So are you an Android user or do you have an iPhone? I know how big your screen is. The light, the color of the light is responsive to the size of your screen. So if you change it, the color and the live stream will also change. So I'm like, live streaming the light that's right here. Yeah. And by clicking the button, you can steer the light in this room from your home.
Yeah, and you can steer it, but at the same time, it responds to data your computer is already giving out of you.
Exactly.
Which is, it feels like really innocent data. My screen resolution, I don't mind. But the brand of the phone I'm using actually says a lot about my personality already. And this is data that's just there. It's not. It wasn't
it's
hard
just there.
To capture.
Everyone can have your IP address and stuff like that. I know whether you have your cookies enabled or disabled. Yeah. What your preference language is. Yeah. And with that, like, I can already know a lot. So beneath the button, there's some feedback text that changes every time that tells some of the things I can steal from you to make you more aware again of, like, your personal data. And, Do
you think it would be harder to gather more data from people? For you?
For me, yes. There are restrictions. Like a lot of browsers on the internet already protect you as a user quite well. Yeah. But there are, again, browsers like Safari where I can actually steal quite more information than just this. You can also, for example, see what website you came from.
Oh, okay, the regression.
Yeah, quite.
Do you think many people are aware of this happening? The normal people on the street, do they know that this data is already as a service passed out to the people they're visiting?
I'm not sure if they know everything. I guess they can assume it, but you don't really think about why the website fits exactly to your screen. It just always fits perfectly. And so I think people are not really aware about their information. Yeah.
And you think they should be?
Yes.
Is that what you want to tell with your installation?
Yes, I want people to really reconsider next time you get a cookies notification, like, do you want to accept them, or would you perhaps go to the settings and turn some things off?
Just not press accept all, not read the info.
Yes, exactly,
How did you learn all the skills you needed to make work like this?
It started 2 years ago, where I followed a course on Arduino. You have it over there. It's a tiny...
people at home.
For the people that don't know it.
That camera. It's a tiny little computer board. It's actually a computer in one, but it's a bit...
It's not a computer. It's a microcontroller.
Yeah, which is a computer in a way, but it's a little handicapped because it computes, but it hasn't got a keyboard and a mouse and a monitor and such.
No, that's not true. The one you have right beside it, it's a Raspberry Pi. That's an actual computer.
That's a total computer,
Here you can attach a keyboard, a mouse, and then you can attach a screen and you could watch YouTube videos and everything on it.
This runs Linux, which is an open source operating system.
Yeah.
And this is...
Arduino is a microcontroller. It does a bit... it's less of a computer. I would say it does only what you program it to do. Yeah. So it's really good at good timing of following your orders.
Yeah.
So if you say turn a light on for 1 second and turn it off, it will be exactly a second.
Yeah.
And the other one, it's a computer, and it's also thinking in the meantime, like, is the internet still on? Is there new emails?
Yeah.
So it can be that after 1.1 second.
Yeah, it's not
things.
as exact. Yeah.
So that's the difference in it.
But you learned to fiddle with this one?
Yes.
And then?
I started working with that and was super, super interested with it. So I started making my first installation. It was kind of a really big twister board where you could make music by pressing the buttons.
Yeah.
And I immediately found out, like, with electronics, nothing goes right the first time. So after working for hours on it, it didn't work anymore. But then later I rolled into the Raspberry Pi because it has some extra things, like using internet really easy. And it can still control, like, sensors and stuff. Yeah. So that's since the last 2 years, I think, I've been also using the Raspberry Pi in my projects. And now there's 3 Raspberry Pis running in your system.
Yeah. There's a little nerd alert there. So the Arduino is actually a converter as well. So you can put analog electronical signals in here, and you can measure exactly how much voltage it's there on the inputs. And then you can just convert it to anything you like, to data, and you can pass it on to a different computer and do stuff. And while the Raspberry Pi has got digital inputs only, so in order to measure analog things, you have to digitize them, which makes it a bit harder. But at the same time, it's really way more complicated and way more complete as a computer for doing what you want to do, taking signals from the real world, mash them up and put them out in different things again.
Yes, especially now that I use a combination of different sensors that communicate through Wi-Fi. It's really useful to use the Pi. Yeah. But for a lot of projects, the Arduino would fit better. Yeah. Yeah. So it's really interesting, I think.
Shall we have a short look at your installation?
Yes.
We're one cameraman low today, so we're missing out on a cameraman. So we're gonna go to the installation of Jorien, and I'm gonna pick up the camera. Things are gonna be wobbly, but stay with us, please. Oh, and it's quite dark in here. Yes. I hope this will do. Let me take the camera and watch Jorien, so she can just tell us about her installation. Just a second.
Sounds like a plan. So here we are at the physical installation where you can interact in this room with it. What we have a floor. Next to it, there's a tiny pole with on top of it a cube that has some buttons, and it's enlightened. And you see a really big screen, actually, where we can make artworks on. So what happens, the user grabs the cube with the buttons and goes stand on this little platform, and from that moment you can press the buttons, for example, to change color or to put some output on the screen. As you can
little graphical output coming on the screen. These little dots, they look quite abstract now.
Yes, it's actually a kind of a pointless game that you're playing, because I don't tell you the rules and you kind of have to figure it all out by yourself. And what I'm mainly doing is wasting your time, just like a lot of websites, apps try to waste your time, so that you click on the advertisements and they gather more information about you that they can sell again. So that's like my kind of the...
So your cube is physical clickbait?
Yes, it's kind of a physical clickbait indeed. And while you stand here, you kind of already accepted the cookies, because there is a weight sensor in the bottom where I'm standing on, and I'm standing beneath a length sensor in the ceiling. And so kind of the data collection started the moment you start playing this game. Yeah. The moment you step away from it, the visuals will disappear again, and you will get a receipt printed with the personal information that I stole from you. Yeah, I can show it a bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I
can
don't
also
know if we're in focus. It's hard to judge, but
tell about it. It says it analyzes about the players. So, for example, based on how you clicked, how often, how long you've been here, it makes an assumption of what kind of person you can be. So if you are like here for less than 20 clicks, then you're probably a very serious person and not distracted by such a game. Yeah. But if you manage to fill the whole screen, you're definitely someone like with a lot of willpower and strong mind, I would say.
So you're making assumptions on the behavior of the people that you're using the...
Exactly. Yeah. And besides that, I make estimation of your weight. And so, I tell you some of the information that is told, and then I tell in the end, like, have a nice day. We know more and more about you. Yeah. So that you start thinking again about, like...
And so in all these little boxes, in the weight, the scales here, and in the box over there, there's all kinds of sensors, and you've all managed to connect them over the Wi-Fi of this beautiful building.
Yes, the most are connected over Wi-Fi. The floor is connected by Bluetooth to one of the other Wi-Fi boxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh. And did you make everything yourself? Do you need a lot of people to make work like this?
I made it all myself. I really like the electronics, and I love making ideas of like, okay, so I want this and this and that sensor, and how will I make them communicate, and then what kind of code comes to it. So I made it all myself. Also I've been in the workshops for a lot of time too.
Because material-wise, I don't know if we can reach the box, but I can zoom.
I can get it a bit closer to you as well. Perhaps it's better on camera if I make it dark blue.
Okay.
I found out it's better to see.
You made this yourself as well. What's it made of?
It's a plastic PE, and I melted it around a wooden block and then opened it up again to enter the electronics in it.
There's going to be quite some research in the materialization of the stuff.
Yes, I use this material since I think a year or two that I found it out, and like with this project I really used it again, and I really love how it kind of looks like a moon structure in there because it's irregular
because the lighting is coming from
light.
Inside.
It's really nice, and I use that also for the second installation that works online that you can see through the live stream. It works with the same plastic, but then with a lot more lights.
Should we walk there to the the next one?
Here you have the other installation. It's actually kind of nerd alert. It's a matrix of lights, you can, by pressing on the button online, it will show some colors. For example, if you are English, the English drive on the left side of the road. It will be easier if your preference of language is on English. It will be easier to fill the left side of the matrix than the right side. And so there are all kind of things based on your information, how it fills. And next to that, it also gets some information about the other sensors that sometimes send some extra information for some graphics.
Or your weight and length or whatever.
Yes, your weight, for example. I could show that. I could walk there and you can
let's have a look.
it here.
See what your weight is.
The whole internet knows.
You want to share over the live stream, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Something with 5 and O. You might be weighing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this was right. Sometimes the measurement is a bit off.
But you've managed to. It's printing a receipt. You've managed to bundle both of the installations to one screen, even.
Sorry.
So you've managed to connect them together.
Yes, because they work through Wi-Fi. I made some extra connections. But the works work on themselves apart, but also together. Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you. I guess I have to check my phone for the time because there's 2 more people waiting. Yeah.
Let's head back.
Let's head back. Yeah. Hey, we'll see. Back at the desk, we have 2 minutes left, so hey, there's time. You've brought a little prototype.
Yes, this is a little prototype of the big light, and I can open it to show a bit more how it actually works.
We can find it.
There's the plastic PE cubes. You can see already like how the light goes through. I don't know if that's actually from your
crystallized
view. And on the inside there's LED lights.
Yeah.
That are wired through everywhere, and then I made it also possible to open it up so you can see actually all the wires in the back.
Yeah.
But I think for now that might be a bit too much nerdy.
But all the LEDs in there have their own address, and you can send a string of data to the entire screen, and all the alert, all the lights will go into their custom color.
Yes.
One last question: is technology for you in your working process a friend or an enemy?
It's a friend.
It's a friend.
It's a really good friend. Yeah. I really like to work with electronics and technology, and I think there's so much potential. And why I do my project is because I see also a lot of dangers that we have to be aware of, and then we have to stay on top of it. So you develop with the technology. Yes.
It's not you're making a concept and then find the technology answers for it, but technology in the heart of your creative process.
Yes, it's a bit of both indeed. Like it's definitely something I want to keep on doing and keep working with because I love it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be giving the seat to Daniël. He has a laptop. All these crazy strains. We don't have an announcer or somebody to talk to us meanwhile. So I'm just filling the time.
That's cool. Hi.
Hi, Daniël. Daniël Korssen.
Yes.
Has made the work Hertzian Space.
That's correct. Yeah.
Wow. Got something right.
It's a weird term. Not a lot of people know about it.
Yeah.
Shall I explain what the word means? So it's coined by an artist and a designer, I think, in the early 2000s. And it's a term that refers to this hidden electromagnetic environment that we cannot see because it's in frequencies that's outside what our eyes can perceive. Yeah. And it's generated by all these electronic devices around us that communicate with each other. Yeah. So it's a field that we kind of created, but we cannot perceive. Yeah. And my work is a visualization of a part of that space.
Yeah. How do you do that? How do you visualize something that...
So my work in particular tries to visualize the Wi-Fi networks in the room that the installation is in. Yeah. So it does that just with a normal computer that can scan the Wi-Fi networks around. And then it uses all these metaphors to try to make it visual because it's all this stuff that we cannot see. So I try to use normal visual language like lines and mathematical shapes to try to visualize that. And give a bit of the feeling to be inside this network as well, just not see what communicates with what, but also have a more of a feeling what it is like to be a data packet traveling over this
through the
environment. Yeah.
But you don't go as far as following data on the networks.
No. So this is what I want to do in the next generation of this artwork. Yeah. But for now, it's just a visualization, an overview of the space itself.
Yeah. Can you see on your laptop? There's. For people just to see, it's all the way over there, and we're not able
to but I have some pictures here, luckily, so we can see. So it starts off quite simple. I hope this plays. This is kind of the climax, but it starts really slowly with just the data packets here.
Yeah. I'm not able to see your screen, so I don't know what you're talking about.
There you go. So you see the red dots. These are the Wi-Fi beacons, so the little devices that are connected to the cable internet. Yeah. And connected to these red dots are a lot of white dots, and that are the devices that are connected to that specific hotspot. Yeah. And in between them are green cubes that represent the data packets traveling through and from these access points. Yeah. So there's a lot of them, and you keep following new green packets. Mm-hmm. And at some point, it starts to go into a more theatrical stage to give you that feeling of traveling around. And that's what this looks like.
And this visualization is semi-accurate to the real existing situation in the room, or?
Yeah. Well, for example, there are some things that have to be faked. So you see the green, the data packets. these things travel with the speed of light, so you cannot visualize this because you cannot perceive it that way. So I'm slowing it down, and it's really not really accurate of the actual way it works, but you get that sense of what's going on.
Data passing from one point to the other point, and your system responds.
In this generation, it's only the Wi-Fi networks that it captures, but it is possible. So you can, with an antenna, you can sniff the packets, and you can see where it's coming from and where it's going through, so you can measure how much data is going from and to points as well.
Do you think it's important people understand this?
Why in particular, I do not think it's really essential, and I think with a lot of technology, it's not really essential that you understand what's going on, but sometimes it has a very big impact on us, and I think then it is important to know what technology does, but for this, I think it's nice to know what's going on, and it gives a basic, maybe, understanding of the space that we cannot see, but I don't think it will have a big impact on people in a way that, oh, there's a packet right there. You don't have to know that.
The only thing people are really interested in Wi-Fi is when it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're like, but I don't think my installation.
Then people are like, okay, now I know why this is happening.
Exactly. No, but I do think there's a lot of cases where it actually is important to know how technology impacts our lives, and I think that's happening more and more. So in that way, with Jorien's work as well, that she's showing how there's all these things going on that we not necessarily want. I think it's good to be aware of that, and I think artists like her and me can maybe visualize this and make it clear that there's stuff going on that you don't see or know about.
And the scariest thing to me is you're not a high-end profile hacker.
No.
So it's fairly easy, like Jorien's work, to capture this data and do something with it. Just in a normal building, you just enter a building and there, ta-da, here's your man.
Well, in that way, it maybe is important. For example, when people log into public networks, they are often not encrypted, and you can even more easily see what kind of data is going from and to these devices. So in that way, it is important to know what's going on. Yeah. But the technical service level things aren't really necessary to know.
How do you know all the skills you need to do this?
So I just started trying things out with computers from a young age, and then that way I learned to code and build stuff. So it's just a lot of try and fail and experimenting, and that's how I got here. Yeah.
And what language, nerd alert, what language did you use to program all this?
So this is written in C++, but with the help of a framework called Open Frameworks. It's built by Zach Lieberman, which is a quite famous generative artist. So I use that to have the visual language and use that to generate the artwork.
For people at home, programming a computer is quite hard if you want to do it right straight on the chips that are in the computer. So there's different layers of programming, and C++ is one of the basic languages that are human readable, more or less, and are really close to the hardware of the computer.
And that's why I didn't like it so much, because coming from I've programmed for a long time, but on a more higher level, the simpler languages. But for this project, I needed this because of the speed and the access to the Wi-Fi data. And so it comes with a lot of struggles, which I'm not used to because I'm not a computer science student. But it worked in the end, so that's cool, and I learned a lot. But
luckily enough, there's people that have made libraries that are as a shell around this crazily complicated C++ language.
Yeah, making it a bit more accessible.
Making it easier,
for people like me. So that's really great.
That's just what I liked about Arduino as well, because interfacing with electronics 20, 15 years ago used to be really complicated. So interfacing with a computer and connecting the real-life world to the computer was really complicated. You have to build your own MIDI controls. You had to know how to make circuit boards. You had to know how to solder, how to program chips even in the chip. And then there was this couple of artists who thought, well, let's make a standard thingy for that, which is called the Arduino by now. And there's 20 flavors of Arduino that range from this size to a mega size with different inputs and outputs.
Yeah, it's the same with a framework like this. It has many nice features for drawing lines, etc., that I don't have to go even deeper to just visualize stuff.
Yeah, in the code. So to you, is technology a friend or an enemy to you? I ask Jorien the same.
It's very hard living in a world. I've never experienced living in a world pre-technology, as in devices like these, like computers and phones. So it's hard to know how that will be. And I think in this point of my life, and for a lot of people, it's nearly impossible to live without a phone in the society we have here. You would be quite abandoned socially, and so it is a necessity, and it can help, of course, in a lot of ways. So I'm wearing a watch that makes me go out and move more, and there's all these things that really help me be a better person, but there's all these things that are very much designed to be addictive and taking your time. So in that way, it's neither. I don't think you can say it's good or evil. There's a lot of gray areas.
Yeah, a huge gray space. Yeah. And in your working process, is because you develop with your project is solely based on code.
Yeah. So it's kind of the tool you use, just like a paintbrush.
Yeah.
And that when I'm making the artwork, it's more a friend because I'm more in control of what's happening. So in that case, it's a companion. But because it was such a low-level language, we had a lot of me and my coding as a friend. We had a lot of struggles and fights. Yeah. But
you have your differences, but
yeah, we made it work in the end. So that's
in the end you win. Yeah.
But yeah, it's strange because it limits you maybe more than if you have a paintbrush. You're, I think, more free to do with it whatever you want than if you use a specific code library for something. Yeah. So it is a tool, but it can be more constraining. Yeah. And there's a way bigger variety of tools. So it's a tool, but also a constraining tool. Yeah. Like I can use a paintbrush to paint on a canvas, but I can also splash it on people and do strange stuff. It's harder to.
Yeah, there's a talk about digital natives and having a generative, but digital intuition is one step up from being a digital native. So you can work your way around code, but your intuition, following your intuition with code, is, I think, really hard.
Yeah, it's less. There's especially with low-level languages, you have to write your code and then compile it and wait, and there's a slower feedback loop from me having an intention and trying to make it.
That's a lot of time for the stroke on the
like a appear. And it's there.
Yeah.
But I still like it more than other forms of tools.
Yeah. So you're planning on developing this more, maybe invoking an antenna, or?
Yeah, I think so. Covering a larger space and having more accurate. So when you follow data packet, that you can really see where it's coming from, where it's going, and visualizing how much data is going from and to points.
Yeah.
Or even what would also be possible if I can log into a Wi-Fi network and maybe clone an existing one that a lot of people log into, like a KPN or SIGO network. Yeah. Then you would be, in some cases, able to see actually the sites people visit, which would be a bit more invasion of privacy if they're not aware of that. So it's I don't know if I want to go
being
there.
Illegal,
So
that's always when does ethical hacking stop becoming ethical?
Yeah.
Then you'll be pointing out a man in the middle and taking over the network.
Exactly. Yeah. So there has to be some form of consent going on there. So maybe if people know that they're partaking in it, but that would defeat the purpose, kind of. So
yeah, it's hard. It's even harder. Yeah. Do you need other people to accomplish what you accomplish?
Yes, but that's even so with when you paint. Someone made the paint, but that's a smaller step. But with art made with a lot of technology, like this one, I made the end work, but there's like the framework. Lots of people, hundreds of people worked on that, and of course, not even getting into all the physical hardware that's made and developed. So it's a bit hard to say that you truly made this yourself. If you rely so much on open source things and all this other stuff.
Do you think there's someone that, when I was thinking about this subject, I can't think that there's people who really know everything that's happening in your computer right now?
No, of course. And it's crazy, but it's also really cool that we can work together with all these strangers and build on top of what they did.
Yeah.
But it's also very strange. Like the human brain is way too small to comprehend all this, and you don't have to, but it's nice to know.
Yeah. But so we're all driving cars that we don't know how they work, and we're all using computers we don't know. But you can rest. I feel to myself I cannot rest with that. I always have to find out how everything works.
But then will be a very uneasy life if you always have this feeling. And
I know. Yeah.
Okay. Now I know.
Yeah.
It's cool.
You're satisfied.
Yeah.
And could you be a painter? That was a question, because you're using this medium now. But is it your favorite medium now? But
Yeah, it's maybe because I don't have I don't like to have very precise control over my physical body.
Yeah.
So taking a long time to just sketch a line, I can understand why people really like that, but I don't know, it's just a way of working that it's not for me.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
So there's no other medium for you. This is your medium for now.
Well, this medium is also very. Does it mean one laptop or whatever? Maybe there in 20 years, maybe that will be my new favorite medium.
Yeah. The beginning of the week when I stumbled in, I saw you looking. You were standing with a fried Arduino or a fried.
Yes.
Like I was meddling with this to control some LED lights, and then I just blew it up. Or you put it in your bag and it got ruined.
Yeah, it got broke. I think I did a very bad soldering job there.
Yeah.
I think I like this medium so much because if you do it right, it feels a bit like magic because people don't really know what is going on.
Yeah.
With a painting, you know, oh, someone took the paint and choop, 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 choop. And then with this, there's so much strange things because it's made by so many people.
Yeah.
That it feels a bit like magic. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
It feels strange, and I think that's why I like it.
Yeah. Thank you. That's not to take away from painting because I can look.
Yeah, of course. I'm not trying to.
How do they do that? How can you even take this image and?
Because even I don't even understand because it's so involved.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why it's cool. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Got something to add? Be my guest.
No, I think that's.
We've covered. We've covered things. So we're gonna have a little changeover then again.
Right.
To Merijn.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice expo. Still. And Ruben is there as well. No, that's true. We lack a microphone, but you cannot be on the couch together because then we're within this 1.5 meters. So we'll just put the microphone in the middle of you and hope everything works out. And Friso comes running out with the spares, backups. No, we thought Ruben would only enter halfway, and I was like, okay, that'll be okay.
He did his best.
Yeah, he ran a little harder. And ours said to us that we cannot go over time because they'll cut the stream. Our own YouTube stream will be running, but so we have got a couple of minutes for you guys. You're the makers of the work that I'm still waiting for to get active again because I haven't witnessed what it does yet. It's called the guest worker. Yeah. Can you explain a bit about what it is, what it does?
Yeah. We were thinking about the future of work, and we stumbled on this online type of platform work. They're called Mechanical Turks.
Yeah.
And they're basically click workers all over the world that do really simple jobs for really low amounts of money. And it's become like this big invisible industry.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make this invisible industry a bit more visible. So we built a machine that hires people live through the internet to make little drawings on a glass surface.
Okay.
And each time a drawing is finished, it will get scanned, and at the same time it will get erased. And it will be used as the example for the next worker who gets hired to copy it.
Okay.
So what you get is this kind of frame animation of drawings that sort of start living their own life, because the people that make these drawings, they have to use their mouse to trace this image, and
it's quite hard.
Yeah, you will inevitably get little mistakes because to draw precisely with a mouse is really hard.
Yeah.
And that will make this original drawing devolve, kind of, or it will lead its own life.
Yeah. So is this because of your fear that? Because it's the other way around now, isn't it? We used to be able to tell machines to do stuff for us, and now there's machines telling us to do stuff. Is that what you are reflecting of?
Yeah,
I think it's mainly, machine telling us stuff. I mean, there's people who make these machines.
Yeah.
And for example, Amazon Mechanical Turk as a platform is often used to gather data and to annotate data. for machine learning algorithms, for example. So images are put out on the platform, and then a huge amount of workers tags them with, like, there's a car, there's a tree, and by feeding that information back to a machine, it learns to distinguish these features from these objects.
Is that the same that the CAPTCHA works when I have to
in a way, yeah.
Except you're not getting paid.
No. I'm doing free
just
work
to get
there.
access.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's also it's very close to that kind of labor, and also the kind of interfaces are really sort of dumbed down and constantly balanced between efficiency and accuracy, because there's always this strive for the lowest price to pay the workers. But the lower the price is, the lower the quality of their work. So it needs to be sort of redundant, etc. So so I think it's important that this platform is used a lot to train indeed computers, so that it's not an invisible hand that is putting people to work also.
No, there's actually people that are putting this technology out there to train technology again.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
I was listening to this podcast a week ago of a woman who was in a sorting center for cosmetics, and she thought she was completely controlled by the machine. So the machine used to present her with a little bucket of stuff. She needed to pick out the things and press the button, wait for the beep, and she was describing this process where she was just like a robot, completely following the machine. And then you came one step higher. Her boss made up that machine, of course.
Yeah. No, and I think that's also the labor on the platform. I mean, there's various kinds of tasks that are being done, but these tasks are sort of micro tasks, and Amazon calls them HITs, so human intelligence tasks. Yeah. So they're actually things that a computer cannot do. Yeah. And even though they're called intelligence tasks, they're often very like primal responses to things, and very basic stuff. And not always, but very often they are just very monotone, repetitive.
Yeah. It's even possible to make these systems that are automated, that use the human labor like part as a little cog in the system. Yeah. For example, there's a service where you can, I think it's called
reCAPTCHA.
Cancel captchas, auto captcha.
There is
anyway, it's a service to counter CAPTCHA prompts. Yeah. So you can make an automated system that can bypass CAPTCHA by sending these CAPTCHA instances to people. So to sort of circumvent this need for human intelligence.
So then you can have bots that scrape websites, but the moment there is a CAPTCHA, a human can step in to actually solve it.
Yeah, and then turn clicks to LinkedIn profiles, or just that's been used to make fake Facebook likes and stuff like that, of course. But can be used.
Or it can be used. Yeah.
Back to your work. You got a good big. Do you want to pose this work as a warning to all this, or are you just reflecting on it?
I think at this stage the work is really meant to kind of start the conversation about this, because we are in the middle of like inventing how this will work, this whole platform work industry. Yeah. So there's a lot of room still to kind of sit together and talk about how we want the world of platform economy to look like. Yeah. And our motivation was to at least in spirit invite this anonymous worker to this exhibition. Yeah. So that's why we call it also guest worker. Also a little nod to
gastarbeider in Dutch. Yeah. You're a guest to the system. What kind of technology do you use in the... we've got a good moment. Yeah. So if the cameraman can turn the camera, you can see it actually right... I missed the moment.
So it'll scan the image now.
So people will not be able to watch to witness this, but we just witnessed somebody making a sketch, and then... but that's a rare moment, is it? Is this just whenever someone looks in?
It's like 6 times or 10 times an hour for a minute or so, or sometimes 1.5. that the light goes on and this drawing happens.
Yeah.
And that's partly because we use the platform in a way that's never intended. It's really meant to have one assignment and you put it out to like 100 people or 1,000 people.
Yeah.
But we have this sort of assignment that we put out for one person, and these workers also optimize their own labor because the pay is so low.
Yeah.
They have all these browser plugins, for example, that automate the exception of tasks that are
there's
well
another
paid.
one.
Yeah, there's somebody else who...
Jorien, can you switch? He's there already. Yeah. So what happens now?
So now a worker has accepted our task, and he's asked to trace the image that was drawn by the worker before him, and the things that he does with his mouse are live reenacted by the pen plotter.
By our plotter, yeah. On a piece of glass.
Yeah, on the inside of a flatbed scanner, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is a slow worker. It's not as efficient.
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, they have the time also.
There we go. And
the drawing gets more and more complex also over time.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't really get it, and they make this random drawing or lines.
Yeah.
Which is also fine. So, but then suddenly the image changes, and from there on, other people have to follow that because it's the
draw
only
the
thing
different damage. Yeah. So you have a hard cut in the animation that's actually behind there. We'll go through that in a minute. So and then you just scan it and wipe it, and it's gone again.
Yeah.
It's temporary.
Yeah.
At least physically temporary. Yeah.
I think one of our first references was I'm sitting in a room, which this sort of also this artist who records himself plays it back with a tape recorder, which he records the playing back, so you get this sort of infinite
overdubbing,
degrading of, or not degrading, but changing of the audio quality. I think the point is that it's not degrading, but actually sort of capturing the qualities of the recorder and of the room.
Yeah.
And here it's in a way we wanted to have this feedback between analog and digital and analog and digital because a lot of the work that these workers do is to have a photo which is sort of it's a digital photo, but was something analog, and to annotate it with digital information. Yeah. So it's all about digitization of analog information. Yeah. And we sort of the pen plotter is a very literal way to make that analog again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can have this loop.
Yeah. Was it hard to make the machine functioning like it does now?
Yeah. Was it hard, Ruben?
Sometimes.
He did most of the programming.
Okay. The programming is one, but there's a huge physical thing going on there as well, mechanical thing.
Yeah, but that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was fun. Yeah. I think that the biggest challenge is indeed in sort of the fact that we use the platform in a different way that it's intended. So we sometimes had people log in at the same time, the plotter. Yeah. So then the plotter was sort of jumping in between the states of the two workers. So you get these very strange patterns.
Over control.
Because it's a non-blocking system, this platform.
Well, the platform is, but from there they go to our website, which we had to make it more blocking than it was. Yeah. And also, especially with
nerd alert, blocking is when the computer process stops until one task is finished and then just goes on with the other one. And normally computers are made to do all kinds of similarity. So there's multiple tasks running at the same time. Yeah. But the blocking task is a task that stops the system for it to wait to finish. Yeah.
And I think one of the hardest things for us was and still is also this collaboration or employment, however you call it, of the worker, of the human on the other side. Because, I mean, our whole project is about sort of making this mechanical Turk, which is seemingly almost like a robot, to make that human hand visible again. Yeah. But if we make mistakes in our code, because it's an automated system, there are bugs and glitches, etc. Then suddenly somebody doesn't get paid for their work. Yeah. And that's when it becomes really painful, because you're critiquing something and then you're actually
misusing
not
it.
Misusing it. I mean, it's by error, but still, or at least try to be extra careful about it.
Yeah.
And in some cases, we've got. It's really interesting that in these moments when either workers don't get it or that they were indeed blocked out of the system
because of
by our fault, because of a programming error or whatnot, that they send us an email.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they have a name.
It becomes
because
very personal.
On the platform, you only see the ID.
Yeah.
And suddenly they get a name and they finish off with good luck with your research, etc.
Yeah.
So they're often very polite, these emails.
Yeah.
And
then you think,
that was for us
up.
very touching, actually.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah. This is a complete different world for me that I didn't know it existed. But
that's so interesting because almost everybody we talk to is, well, a lot of people are surprised that it even exists.
Yeah.
Even though it's been going for 20 years now.
Wow.
But it's still this invisible part of...
It's really tens of thousands of...
So the social aspect was more of a challenge than the technical aspect in a way for you guys.
Well, yeah, a bit. We're still trying to make up our minds about, we're always trying to be really thoughtful of if we change the artwork in this way, how will that be sort of ethically? How will it affect the story, and also how will it affect these people?
Yeah.
I mean,
how do you make them aware, for example, that what they do is live in an exhibition space?
Yeah. Do you need to? And be careful about that.
Yeah.
We got 5 minutes left, so let's go to the machine.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oops, on my clock is 10 minutes left. But
should I?
Take your microphone. I'll take this. You can take that one together.
Yeah.
So we're going back to the live camera again. I would really love to see what happens in there.
Yeah.
And let's hope that somebody is going to draw something. So there's essentially the guts of a flatbed scanner, as I recognize, but people at home probably won't. But oops, let's give it a little more light. If you can step a little bit this way, then the light will enter there. So what does the actual writing?
So there's a pen plotter.
Yeah.
So that is this arm.
Yeah.
That moves along 2 axes.
Yeah.
And a 3rd axis to put the pen down.
Ah, yeah. So that's up there. There's the little pen.
Yeah.
It's angled at a strange angle at the surface.
It's to have the ink running. Because if you have it horizontal, the ink starts to dry.
Aha.
So that's the thing. Merijn is really, he's an illustrator, so he's used to all these struggles with pens and
we had to
the physicality of the objects.
The physical problems of the pen are also really interesting and challenging.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Especially if you wanted to be able to draw on a vertical surface, but also be erasable, but also have the pen not dry after a certain time. All right. So there's a lot of problems that can, practical stuff with the pen.
Essentially, you want to build this thing, put it somewhere in a gallery, and just leave it to work for itself.
Yeah, that would be the ideal.
So somebody has accepted the job. There we go. And this is a standard off-the-shelf pen plotter or something you built yourself?
No, it's an AxiDraw.
Exists in the AxiDraw. Yeah. And then you've got this API to control the thing. Oh, that was a short one.
This person abandoned the job. That's also a thing that can happen.
And then it doesn't scan because you didn't finish it.
Yeah, it will just be on a timer, and until a new person picks it up.
Let's see, because you've got this little screen over here that actually, oops.
Yeah, it's meant to sort of show the chain of events.
Yeah. Let me see if I can adjust the lighting so we can even see it. And then there's this screen on the back over there.
Right.
Can you tell something about that?
Yeah. Every time a drawing is finished and gets scanned, it will become 1 frame in this animation, but because we keep iterating on the drawings, it's a bit like this game where you whisper something into the next person's ear.
Yeah.
And then
the fireman game. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then just the one drawing is based on the other one, so you get an animation. And you're storing all these frames in the frame store and just playing it back live.
Yeah.
So whenever somebody enters another job, then it will be added to the stream.
Yeah.
And then here on the back, there's the sort of credits per frame. Here on the back, there's
there used to be
a sort of credit roll for each of the frames.
Yeah.
And so we also list all the people that came before, and then the one who drew the last frame.
Okay.
But you see, we